talk a little bit about one of the projects that you were involved with and maybe had the opportunity to start and then see all the way through to fruition?
Well, I'd like to talk about two of them, actually. Um, One, when I went on the board of Elder House was beginning to think about expansion, not an expansion so much, but a renovation with perhaps being able to repurpose some of the space so there was more room. Um, and I was asked specifically because I had developed housing and knew about construction. Um, the way construction is done, not about actually doing the construction. Um, that evolved into service on the board when that project was finished. And I have to say, it was a group project. I contributed a little bit, but the whole group, there were many people on the board who were involved in the renovation. And it's a fabulous renovation. Everything is clean and bright and just inviting. So I really feel great about that. Um, the other board I was asked to go on was the Board of Action Housing, who was a totally volunteer board that had developed affordable homeownership housing in Norwalk. Um, that organization had no staff and had no money for staff. And what I learned in all of my volunteering is that a staff person is needed. Somebody is needed to coordinate things and to keep things moving. As much as volunteers can do work by themselves, there needs to be a leader. And in most volunteer organizations, it's difficult to find a person who has full-time ability to volunteer and put that forth. We eventually joined forces with a group called Connecticut Housing Partners. And Connecticut Housing Partners has the same mission to develop and operate affordable housing. Connecticut Housing Partners develops housing that is not only home ownership, but is also rental housing and manages the rental properties. One of the projects there was Wilton Commons. Wilton Commons is affordable senior housing in Wilton. A group of citizens of Wilton felt they needed senior housing so that people who wanted to leave their homes in Wilton because they were just too large and too difficult to upkeep needed a place to live. And some of them needed an affordable place to live. So they raised $2 million to build this housing, but they realized they needed a developer to do it because they didn't exactly know how to complete the project. They may have interviewed other developers, but they chose Connecticut Housing Partners. And Connecticut Housing Partners got added to the $2 million, which, by the way, is a tremendous feat for a group of volunteers. I've never seen that done since in an affordable housing development. I think the development eventually cost over $10 million to do. Connecticut Housing Partners raised funds from various sources, the Connecticut Housing Finance Authority, the Department of Housing, and so forth. And it's a fabulous project. And I felt so proud of the fact that we did it and the partnership that we have with the town of Wilton and Wilton citizens, such that Wilton, because of the structure of Wilton Commons, it needs its own board of directors. And I do serve on the board of directors of Wilton Commons. So I see how the progress is made in the development, and it's turned into a really fabulous development for seniors. They love it. I love going there. I love hearing about the activities. And actually, they've had a hard year with COVID, but they survived. The staff did all they could to keep, the residents had to stay in their apartments mostly. And they did all they could to communicate and bring things to them and have Zoom activities and do all kinds of things. So kudos to the staff as well. So that project, as well as the Elder House, are two of my favorite projects.